Okay, I think we can start here. Hi, hi, grade five. I really miss you guys, and I hope that you are well and you are keeping yourselves safe during this quarantine. I also hope that you are not too stressed out, huh, with all the Google Classroom stuff. I really miss you guys, and I'm glad that even remotely I can give you a lecture on the reform movement. So, last chapter, you learned about how the Filipinos started to realize that there's more to life than just being the slaves or the oppressed, with all the tobacco monopoly. I mean, with the galleon trade that the Filipinos were not even that were not even allowed to participate in, the lack of education and all of that. So the Filipinos started to feel like there was something wrong with this formula. They really wanted that changed. So, what the Filipinos did, particularly of the Ilustrado group, they started to educate themselves more, particularly with the opening of the Suez Canal. When so many new ideas came into the Philippines. Like there were revolutions in Europe, there was a revolution in America, and then they were like, maybe we should have a revolution here also. Now, so when these Filipinos started to learn more, they also learned something. They were like, you know what? It's not so smart. It's not very wise to have a revolution that involves bloodshed. Because if you, and you're going to learn about this, if you read about the American Revolution or the French, particularly the French Revolution, it wasn't so it wasn't so beneficial to the people. I'm just gonna move my bubble here because I want the laser pointer there. So they were like, "Uy, bloody man kaayo. Like maybe it's not very good if we have a bloody revolution. And besides, we have no weapons. We can't exactly fight people with guns using our bolos and all of that, right? So it's not very smart. So there was a particular group of Filipinos who decided to use education. They decided to use education as their primary weapon. They did not want to use the weapons that were weak anyway. They did not want to use. They did not want to use blood. They did not want to punch Spaniards or whatever. They wanted to use their minds, they wanted to use their gifts, and they wanted to use their talent. Okay, it was a very unusual way to fight a revolution, no? Because usually when you hear revolution, you think of swords and cannons and like charge or whatever. But this kind of revolution was kind of an intellectual revolution. Are you still following me? You can pause anytime, huh? If you're getting tired or you want to get a snack. You don't have to ask me if you need to go to the restroom or if you want to drink water. You can just pause me and then you can leave. Now, so we are going to discuss that period of Philippine history, and this is the Reform Movement. So this is the Reform Movement, also known as the propaganda. So when you say the Reform Movement or the propaganda movement, it was when a group of Filipinos decided to use their minds, their hands, their gifts with art, their words and their gifts of speaking, and then also even their gifts of writing to try to make Spain realize that this is not a very good arrangement. Okay, I mean we're so luoy here already. So we have the reform movement or the propaganda. Now, as you can see, Spain, this is Spain here. This is in the Iberian Peninsula. Spain, you cross the Atlantic Ocean and you reach Mexico. You cross the Pacific Ocean, you turn around, and then you reach the Philippines. It's quite a long trip, right? It's quite a long trip, but my gani, remember the Manila Acapulco trade where it was Manila, and then here to Acapulco. My gane, that kind of shortened stuff, um, shortened the distance. But Spain was really so far. For Spain to be able to govern the country, I mean, it was really hard. Like even now with the whole Google Classroom thing, it's so hard for me to have a class. Now you're all so far away. So I'm like Spain, and then you are kind of like, I don't want to say it like this, but it's kind of like you're the colonies. I'm trying to rule you, but you're all so far. And then all I can do is like send you a message, and I don't even see your reaction. I don't know if you understand. I can't ask a question like, oh, do you understand? Then I will hear your answer right away. Nga, no, teacher, please repeat. It was really hard. It's really hard. So that's kind of like the situation. Spain was so far, and then the colonies of Spain were like remote. It was really, really hard to reach. So Spain was already having a hard time governing the Philippines. And so it was not even beneficial for Spain anymore. Spain was not super getting rich from our country. And our country, definitely, the Filipinos in particular, was not progressing because of Spain. So it was kind of like a lose-lose situation. It was really very hard. Now, I hope that's not how you feel about online classes, Hannah. It's a lose-lose situation, but I do miss you. And I hope we will be together in the same classroom again. So now, the group of Filipinos that I told you about, the propagandists, they wanted to be the voice of the oppressed Indios and tell Spain, hey, Spain, this is our situation. It's so hard to be uh, a good contributor to our country if we're always being oppressed. Like if we are not allowed to be educated, how can we'll be slaves forever? If we will be educated, maybe we can contribute to you. So I think the propagandists were trying to show Spain that if we are happy, you'll be happy. If we are progressing, you'll be progressing. So they wanted to make Spain realize that. So they started the propaganda movement, and they said we have to push for reforms. Now, reform is change, by the way. Reform, when you form it again. Okay, let's reform our relationship, Spain. It's really not working out. So let's do this. Okay, now, first, the propaganda movement never advocate. Okay, this is, I will just mention it later because it will come up later. Anyway, the first reason that the reformists wanted to reform was they wanted equal rights between Spaniards and Filipinos. Do you notice that they did not want the Spaniards to just say bye-bye? It fixed the relationship with Spain. So they said, Spain, can we have equal rights? If you have these rights, can we have the same rights? So you have to remember this, the reform movement was not a breakup. It was not, Spain, leave, get out of my life. The reformers were trying to fix it. So they said, okay, can we have equal rights, please? Plus, the Philippines, for the Philippines to become a province of Spain, not a colony, a province. Make us part of Spain. We don't want to be your colony. We don't want to be your slave country. Please give us equal rights. Give us equal rights. Make us your province. Then, can we please have freedom of speech and freedom of expression? Because the Filipinos did not have freedom of speech. Can you imagine when Don Joaquim Santa Marina? No, not him. I forgot the one who did the tobacco monopoly. I'm sure you remember. And I'm sure maybe you're mouthing his name right now. The Governor General who started the tobacco monopoly. I can't believe I forgot it, but hopefully you didn't forget, like teacher. Can you imagine when he said, okay, tobacco monopoly? If there were farmers who said, oh, boo, you could go to jail. You could even lose your life because you cannot just speak out disagreement, you have to be very careful. You'll be like, yay, tobacco monopoly is the best. If the encomenderos will raise the taxes, the Filipinos cannot say, oh, boo, come on, that's too unfair. You have to be like, yay, paita. So the reformers wanted to have freedom of speech and freedom of expression. You can express whether arts, if you have a disagreement. Now, we also have for the Philippines to have a representative in the Spanish Cortes. Now, the Spanish Cortes was, I can't hear, but I'm pretending. Very good. I don't know bitaw, but the Philippines to have a representative in the Spanish Cortes, the highest court in the land. So they wanted a Filipino representative there because if there is a Filipino representative there, the representative can speak in behalf of all the other Filipinos. Nga dili lang nga they're making laws or they're making decisions about us, and then there was no representative. It was all Spaniards making decisions for Filipinos. So they were like, can we have a representative there, please? And the fifth is the secularization of parishes in the, meaning secularization, there were two kinds of priests, regulars and secularized. Regular priests cannot manage a parish. Filipinos were not allowed to manage a parish, okay? When they manage chapels, they can work under priests who manage parishes, but they were kind of like, can't Filipinos manage a parish because who better to lead a group of people who are Filipinos than a Filipino? So these are the 5 reasons. Again, this is in your book. You don't have to copy, or if you really want to copy, then you just pause if you think I'm going too fast. Okay, now, the propagandists. Now, wrong spelling. Oops. It's supposed to be propagandist. There should be a D there. Sorry, maybe I do this. Pen. Hey. Oh, there's supposed to be a letter D there. Man. Boo. But, sorry. Anyway, let's switch back to laser pointers. So that's wrong spelling. Please do not follow that. So these men are called propagandists or illustrados. These illustrados, these are the men who are using their intellect, using their arts, using their talents in order to reform the relationship between the Spaniards and the Filipinos. I know you know this guy. Who is this guy? Very good. I don't know without. I feel silly, but then here we are. Okay, this is Jose. You know him. This is, do you know him? Marcelo H. Del Pilar. And this is, I know this guy is not so known. Very looy. He did so much. Mariano Ponce. Okay, now, so these men are the Ilustrados. And they are, you know what, this is a better picture. These men lobbied for us. They became the voice of the oppressed Filipinos. The Filipinos really down, they felt so oppressed, they felt so abused, but they could not because there was no freedom of speech and expression, but they studied. Some of them were lawyers, some of them were doctors, some of them were journalists, some of them were artists, and they were the voice of the people. They went to Spain, they went to even America, some even went to America to try to speak in behalf of the Filipinos. And then that's why a lot of them our heroes, because their voice, they became our voice. They spoke for us. Because not everyone can speak, I mean, not that, I hope you know what I mean. Not everyone can voice out their opinions, but these men voiced out their opinions for us. This is actually a picture. This is a blur. This picture is taken in Plaza Mayor in Madrid. Because when they went to Madrid, they did not just go there to tourist nga, oh, like, yay, eating churros, like that, no. When they went to Madrid, they lobbied for us. They had a higher goal. And you have to remember that these men never advocated independence. They did not want to be independent from Spain. They wanted to be equal with Spain. Please remember that. That is something that is often forgotten about the job of the Ilustrados, because so many people think that the Ilustrados fought for separation. They didn't. They fought for equality with Spain. Okay, now the most known. Okay, let's watch this first. This is so cute. Uh, I really love this. Oh. So the most well-known of all the Ilustrados, of course, and because he is also our national hero, is a man called Jose Rizal. Now, Jose Rizal is really a very interesting guy. He's not a perfect guy. He's not the perfect hero, but I think his voice was the loudest of all. I mean, heard his voice, Germans heard his voice, Filipinos heard his voice. He was really the most kind of like, he almost had celebrity status, you know. And he's fascinating, he's charismatic. Spaniards hated him. Spaniards in Philippines hated him. But a lot of Spaniards actually in to him. And he had an Austrian friend. He traveled to London, he traveled to America, he went to Japan. He was a well-traveled man, and you know that in the end he died for what he believed in. So let's talk about Jose Rizal. Now, Jose Rizal, his name is his known as Laong Laan or Dimasilang. Now, Laong Laan or Dimasilang are his code names, because sometimes when he would write something, he really or his family. I think his main concern was his family, because the Spaniards, whenever Rizal would say something, or whenever he would, mm, what do you call this? Say something against the Spaniards or write something against the Spaniards for some reason would threaten his family. So in order to protect his family, he would use code names sometimes, and these were his code names. Okay, now grew up in Calamba, Laguna. He was born there. I will send a video about Jose Rizal's life in this segment. You will be able to listen and hopefully get to know our national hero more. But I really am super fascinated with Rizal. He grew up in Calamba, Laguna. This is him actually when he was 14 years old. Who knew that this 14-year-old would be the national hero one day? He was educated at his first teacher was his mom. So he was homeschooled, kind of like what's happening to you guys now. So he was learned at home. His mom gave him lessons and all of that. And then um, when he grew up, he wanted to be a doctor. You know why he wanted to become a doctor? Because his mom's eyes were getting weaker, and he really wanted to help cure her. So he became a doctor. What do you call an eye doctor? In eyes, on eyes. I can't hear, but I'm gonna pretend. Very good. Maybe you said a different word. You could have said baker, and then I just said very good. Anyway, so um, Jose Rizal grew up into this. At first, he didn't really mind. He didn't really care about whose name was why am I forgetting stuff? Thankfully, there's Google. Oh man, I feel so bad that I forgot Rizal's brother, because Pasiano Rizal. Okay, Pasiano, his brother Pasiano was actually someone who he was a lot older than Rizal. So Kuya, Kuya Pasiano was the one who really wanted to advocate the cause of the rights of the Indios and all of that. And he was actually a good friend of Gomburza. And then after that, when Gomburza was executed via Garote, Pasiano was in trouble. And then when Rizal learned about this was when he started to feel nga murag nga naman in trouble man. Oy nga we were just kind of trying to say the truth, that we feel oppressed, that we feel like our rights are being quelled. So this was when he started to feel, and it was really largely influence of his brother Pasiano. And then, so because of the influence of Pasiano and the support, because Pasiano could not do his advocating stuff, Pasiano had to go back to Laguna because his life was in danger. They were searching for him. So instead, Pasiano supported Rizal's education. Actually, Pasiano would work so he could give Rizal money, would continue his work until Rizal felt like he needed to do more, that he needed to do more work. Like he was kind of like, man, I really have to get educated in Europe because I feel like Europe is so much more advanced than the education that I am getting here in the Philippines. And so Pasiano paid for everything. Not said everything, but a bulk. A bulk of the money that Rizal used in order to go to Europe came from Kuya. So his Kuya was actually someone who influenced him greatly. Without Kuya, Rizal would not have been the national hero. And as you know, he wrote two very famous books. We have here Noli Me Tangere and we have here El Filibusterismo. Now, I will also link you to summaries of Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. I will link that in this post together with this post. Okay, so Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, and he established La Liga Filipina. La Liga Filipina, the League of Filipinos. Okay? The League of Filipinos in Tondo, Manila. When he came back from Europe, he established La Liga Filipina. And the goal of La Liga Filipina was the unity, I'm going to move this, the unity of the entire country, because he felt like the Filipinos were not united. How can we even fight for reforms if we were not united? He also wanted to extend help to one another in times of need and in every wrong spelling again. Advocacy na unsa. Anyway, sorry. This is advocacy, not advocate. Okay? So extend help to one another. That spirit of bayanihan. Now, if this Filipino needs help, let's not pull him down. Let's be united also. He wanted to protect everyone from violence and injustice, improve education, agriculture, and commerce. Kanigiro, he really wanted to improve particularly education because he saw the benefits of a good education because he himself was educated and he saw the benefits of this and study and implement reform. So this is La Liga Filipina. Rizal, this was Rizal's baby. But then this baby was used by the Spaniards in order to arrest him because they were like, La Liga Filipina, that is a rebellious group that is trying to start a revolution, a bloody revolution against Spain. So Rizal was like, no, I really just want reform. See, it's even here. I want to change. I want to fix. I don't want to break up. But they're like, yeah, right. What about your books? Let's go back to the picture. Noli Me Tangere, you're always like criticizing the clergy. Clergy means priest. You're always criticizing the clergy. You're calling us bad. And Rizal was also like, you are bad. A lot of you are, you're taking money from the poor, you're abusing. And they were like, basta, it was so gubot yun until of course, Rizal did not have as much power as the Spaniards. So eventually, the Spaniards were able to exile him to Dapitan. Now, Dapitan is in Mindanao. I asked a teacher in my master's, I asked him why Dapitan of all the provinces of the Philippines. they were asking why. I asked him why Dapitan, and my teacher said it's because Dapitan was the territory of Jesuits. And the job of the Jesuit, by the just orders, we discussed them. The job of Jesuits is to convert the unconverted, particularly those who used to be Roman Catholic, who are not Roman Catholic anymore. And they really wanted Rizal to turn back to Roman Catholicism because Rizal was not Roman Catholic anymore. He really despised the Roman Catholic clergy. So now Rizal is in exile, Dapitan. Now, I'm not going to continue. I'm going to divide this lecture into three because it might be too long. And you know how Teacher Kiara likes to talk. I'm even talking to, I wanted to make this like a 10-minute video, but I doubt it's 10 minutes anymore. So I'm going to stop here. If there was something that you were confused about, you can just comment your question. I will try to answer them as soon as possible, or you can just repeat this lecture. Okay, so this is part one. I'm going to post part two and part three, God willing, soon. Okay? Bye, grade 5. I miss you.